Hello everyone, I'm back with another video, and in today's video we have a Lenovo Ideapad laptop. This one is a Lenovo Ideapad L340 15IRH. And in this video we're gonna be doing two things. And the main thing is we're gonna replace the keyboard for this laptop because the keys are damaged and some keys don't work. And this is a backlit keyboard. So there's a light RGB. I don't know if it has an RGB or just a simple color background lighting. So we're gonna replace. I'm gonna take you on a step-by-step how to change the keyboard. Also, while we're doing the replacement of the keyboard, it's good to do a servicing on the laptop too. So on way towards the keyboard, we are gonna do a service too. All right. So I'm gonna go over the tools and everything that we're gonna use for this service, and I'll leave everything in the links in the video description in case you want to purchase yours. And just remember, by doing any keyboard replacement and servicing, you're not gonna change anything, configuration or anything like that. Everything's gonna be the way it was, so you no need to do any backup. All right, tool number one. It's a good screwdriver set. I recommend you guys the UFIXTEK screwdriver set as they have one of the best fits out there. You're gonna be using this one. If you get the Pro set, they will include you with a whole bunch of the opening tool, tweezers, and a few other stuff. But if not, just grab the basic tool set. We are gonna be using a plastic spatula or wooden spatula, and we are gonna using a metallic, hard metallic, kind of very sharp edge spatula to cut the keyboard out. And we need a good thermal paste. I recommend you guys to use the Thermal Grizzly Extreme. These are one of the best thermal pastes out there for the CPU. But once you remove the heatsink, you do need to repaste it. So this is forcefully you have to do it. And very important one is a workshop towel. I recommend you guys to use this workshop towel because as soon as you start cleaning the motherboard, this thing will rip apart before it damages the components on the board. So use the workshop towel, 1 or 2 sheets of this one. And very other important one, alcohol, 99%, 98% isopropylic or isopropylic alcohol. Don't use anything under that. A used or new toothbrush to clean the fan system. It's gonna come handy. Curved or straight tweezers is good to have around. And with and very important for the opening tool, I'll be using a guitar pick. Metallic guitar picks are really suitable to opening cases and covers without scratching them because it's really soft, round corner edges. All right, with all this on hand, we're gonna get it started. First thing first, let's move everything to one side. We're gonna grab a Phillips number 1, and we are gonna remove all the screws on the bottom cover. Starting the front screw on the front row. Remove them and keep them in different piles. So don't mix them with the screws inside the laptop. Also, if you guys like my videos, if you find my videos helpful and helping you guys out, you can support the channel by clicking the like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. It helps and motivates me to make more videos, take requests, and answer your questions in the comment area. All the screws on the bottom cover, they're all the same size and height, so don't worry about mismatching them. Now that we remove this one, before we go anywhere further, I got the replacement keyboard I want to show you guys. So again, I'll leave the link for the replacement keyboard. You have to make sure that the keyboard that you purchase, it's fit for your laptop. This one, the enter key is like this, and there are some keys that they have an enter is like an L shape, and they're all together. So that one will not fit on yours because of this keyboard goes from underneath upward. And we need to patch it down, so you're gonna see why. This is a cable for the backlight and keyboard flex. All right, now we're gonna grab the opening tool, and we are gonna start from one corner. We're gonna stick this guitar pick between the bottom cover and the palm rest, and we're just gonna twist it, and we're gonna hear a big click sound. That's what you wanna hear, and you wanna do this all around. You can open up the laptop if you see you want to hear big click sound. That's what you want to hear. All right. to the left and right. There we go. And now I'm going to grab it, a little wiggle around, lift it up, and bring it towards the back, move it around, and it will release itself. And you can take it outside, use a toothbrush to clean the mesh, the dust mesh on the bottom cover. And you can see right away, there's a lots of hair and cat hair, and it's pretty much plugged up. So first thing first, we're gonna disconnect the battery down here. The battery connector is right in here. There's a tiny hooks on the side of the black cover here. Let me zoom in on that. So you guys can see there's a one little lip right here, and there's a tiny lip right there. So what you want to do, you want to put your fingernails right on top, on the side. I'm just going to use this one because my fingers can't get through. And you want to bring it, slide it towards the battery and make sure it doesn't go back in. And there you have it. And that's how you disconnect the battery connector. All right. And after that, first we're going to start disassembling the cooling system, which is this heat pipe right here. Again, we're going to remove 3 screws on the CPU and 2 screws on the GPU. These screws, they have a little C-lock on them. That means the screw will not come out entirely. You just have to loosen them up. All right. Now we're going to grab it from here and move it around and lift it up, bring it up. And there it is. Again, we're going to clean this one at the end. I'll leave it to one side. You can take it outside with a toothbrush and blow some dry air through here. This one here, you don't need to lift it up. This is protective. But if you want, you can just lift it up. I like to lift it up before cleaning the GPU. I'll put it to one side. And remove all this gunk, hair, everything from here. You're going to remove the keyboard by removing the rest of the screws that touches the keyboard in the corner here. You can even mark it if you want to, but it's very obvious. All right, I'll put that screw on a different place. Just grab the battery and put the battery right on the back so you don't mix them. Right, and this is the CMOS battery. We don't want to disconnect the CMOS battery because the CMOS battery keeps the configuration of the BIOS. Just has a double-sided tape on the other side. Just lift it up. Right. There we go. That's what you want. Just lift it up and stick it right on the RAM cover. All right, next we're gonna remove the NVMe drive by removing one screw right here and pull back the NVMe. Put it to one side. Remove the Wi-Fi board. Remove one screw just like NVMe and pull back this Wi-Fi. Detach the cables. Untangle the cables from this corner of the fan. You need to remove the caddy for the empty hard drive space here. Remove the 4 screws for the caddy. 2 on the back and 2 on the front of the caddy. I'll put the screws right on top of it. You're gonna continue. Let's go ahead and remove grab the jack of the fan connector. I'll grab it close to, not from the cable, from the black jack. And then I will pull it back so I don't stress the cables. You're gonna remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws for the fan. We're gonna put this one to one side. You're gonna grab the fan, pull it up. Continue untangling these Wi-Fi antenna cables. Put the fan to one side. We can take it outside, blow air and with a toothbrush and clean it up nicely. I'll do that at the end. Continue untangling this cable all the way to that side. We are going to disconnect the connector, LCD connector. Just lift up 90 degrees this jack. And you want to slide it that way. Okay. Untangle from here and leave it on the back side. the speaker cables, pull them back, the jack. Same way that you disconnect that one, the keyboard, lift it up 90 degrees with your finger or with this one, pull it back, trackpad, lift it up from this side, 90 degrees, slide it back. Once you remove, close the lid, backlight, lift it up, pull, and close. Right, now we're gonna remove the entire motherboard. The motherboard, there should be one screw under this warranty label right here. So you wanna puncture through here. Okay, there should be 2 screws right here by the power jack. Power jack has a little bracket on top. I'll use a magnet. Alright. And let's try to lift up the motherboard. And there's your motherboard right here. So we're gonna clean up the thermal paste and repaste in a bit. So first we wanna go for the keyboard. Now I see the keyboard, it's right in here. So it is just like that. And the keyboard that we got in here is the same thing, but this one it is kind of glued in. So I'm gonna put a little bit of alcohol to detach this to make it easy. So they put a little double-sided tape because I need to bring it just like this all the way back. Right, let's put a little alcohol in here to blend but we need this isolating plate to remove the whole thing. Right, now we need to grab this isolation right in here, gently pull it out. You want to lift it up, wrap it up because we're gonna keep putting it back. This isolate the motherboard so it doesn't touch the metal cover. Alright, we do need to remove the hinges, so remove 2 screws on this side and 2 screws on the other side for the hinges. This hinge, it is broken. So we need to repair this hinge by putting some glue right underneath, epoxy, because the base is broken. So we're gonna remove the screws that we can remove. This one right in here. This one we can put an epoxy underneath on the other side. Remove 2 screws on the other side. We can loosen up the hinges so it's not stiffened, because when it gets really stiffened, this is what happens. It just pulls the whole bottom section out. Now that I cannot remove it because I need to use pliers to hold it while I'm rotating this side. So let me see if I can grab it with the pliers. And there we go. So this way I can remove it and remove the base. And at the end, we need to fix that one. So this is good to do service. Now you guys gonna learn something new here if your base is broken. It is really tough, so we do need to fix this one. But I don't want to give it to the client with a really stiffened hinges. Again, this one too. You want to lift up. Oh, it is very tough. So once we lift it up, we can remove the palm rest. Look, and the keys are falling off. So in order to fix the hinges to loosen up, you need to loosen up the bolt right in here. And there's a little bolt in here. Just do a half turn, and you're gonna feel the hinges that they get really loose. So I'm gonna use this one is too big. I'll use one lower. Now it is much better. I'm just like a half a turn, quarter of turn. Now it has to be stiff. It doesn't have to be too loose, otherwise the screen is gonna fall off. But you don't want it to be this stiff neither. So there we go. That's what you want. All right, now let's put this one. You can go ahead and clean it up outside. Now we'll bring this keyboard back here. Now that we got this one in here, the reason that we remove the metal bracket that we need to remove is under the hinges. All right, and I don't see anything else, any more screws or anything like that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use the spatula, and we're gonna use a towel. We're gonna fold it. I have a used one right in here. And we're going to put it in the palm of your hand so it doesn't hurt your palm. And what we want to do in here, this is going to be tedious. We want to knock out all the heads of these rivets. You want to start knocking up all these black heads that touches this metal cover, all the heads, like that. You just want to lift them up, just like this. Keep doing this one to the all around. Rip up all of them. I'm just going to fast forward this part, otherwise we will be here the whole night. Now that I knocked out most of them, I'm going to shake this one outside. What are we going to do? We're going to grab it from the bottom corner here, and we're going to lift up this metal cover. I'm not forcing it too much because I don't want to bend it. You want to stick this spatula underneath, and we just want to twist it like this so you don't bend the metal. And you see I missed. You're going to always miss few, but that's what you want to find out where you missed. There we go. But we want to keep it as straight as possible. You see, I missed few in the middle. So I'm gonna do a little bit more from here. I'll stick the spatula right in there. Rotate. Do it from the left and from the right side. There we go. And almost there. And there we have it. So there's the shield. And we're going to put that shield to one side. And we have the keyboard right in here. I can see this keyboard. You can grab it from one corner and just pull it out in 45 degrees. Just yank it and stop like that. Just do a tiny yank and bring it like that. You don't want to force yank it all the way. And there's your old keyboard. And look at all this dirt. So shake it off, clean it up, clean up the work areas. Okay, now that we got cleaned up here, we're gonna grab the new keyboard. We're gonna bring it over. We're gonna set it down and make sure it goes nicely in place. Has to click in all the way in. Again, put some alcohol in here. You want to loosen up all this adhesive down here. Okay. Nicely in place. Hold it and double check, make sure it's in correct position. Alright. Now that we got it in place, all we need to do is to patch it back in. To patch it in, we are gonna grab the plate here. And we're gonna pass through these cables right through here. And put it right on top. And now this is the fun part is gonna begin. You're gonna grab a solder iron. I have this portable solder iron here. We're gonna turn it on and we're gonna heat it up. And we're gonna set it down at 200 to 300 Celsius. There's a battery on it, but I just don't like keeping it connected. So I'm gonna wait for it to heat up for a few minutes and I'll be back. Now that I heated up the soldering iron, so what we're gonna do here is to hold this metal bracket down where it was, and we are gonna use the same soldering iron and we're gonna melt over this the same patches in there so it can hold down to the, with my finger I'll put it quickly right on top and it cools down, and that way I can just patch it easily, just like that. And we're not going to put the whole thing through the whole point, otherwise it's going to stick out from the other side. Just want to do enough for the patches to stick out. That's all you want. You want to do this to all of the rivets right on top. And if you need extra plastic to melt on, you can grab a space bar from the old keyboard and grab from the plastic from the other one and just bring it and melt on top so it can reach. So I'm just going to fast forward this one. You don't have to do all the rivets. It's not necessary to do all of them. As long as you do majority of them, then you're more than fine. There's no need for it to do every single one of them and worry about every one of them. As long as you do most of them, then you're more than fine. Also, what I like to do here to fold the towel, I'll put it right between the keys so I can push down nicely on top of these ones so I can melt the plastic on the other side. Now we're gonna flip it over to make sure everything is in place. They're all popping out nicely. So let's put this one to one side. You need to push in between the keys. Alright, double check, make sure you're not missing any. For example, in here, I see that I need to push down in between the S and D. So there we go. Nicely pops in. Alright, double check, make sure everything is nice because you don't want to open it again after once you assemble it. Looks nice. Look from the sides and beautiful. Nicely in place. Just gonna do a retouch quickly. Then we can turn it off. Actually, I'll keep it on because I'm gonna still glue in this hinge plastic so I can melt some plastic instead of epoxy. Alright, now that we have this one in place, we're gonna work backward. We're gonna start putting up the shield right on top. Remember, the shield has to go right on it here. You can use it as a guide. The screw holes nicely aligned. And there we have it. Okay. Now we got this one. We're gonna grab the LCD. We're gonna put it down. Now that we put the screen right underneath, we're gonna close up the hinges, both sides. We're gonna put up the screws. On this side, we only can put one screw. And on the other side, we're gonna put two screws. So remember, the screw doesn't go there, and it goes all here. In the middle one, you don't put any. Now we need to put this one in here. But before we put it, we need to grab a little pliers. And let me grab my magnet. So I'll keep this screw right in place. But first we need to sandwich it in there. I will keep it like this. And I'll stick it right underneath. And I will tighten it up. Once it's nice and tight, now what we can do in here, we can put this one back in and we can melt some plastic in there. If you have a 3D printer, and we can melt a filament inside, and that should keep it in place. There's still 2 more screws down there to hold it, so I'm gonna power on and I'm gonna melt this one right in the corner here. You can use an epoxy if yours is broken, but you don't need to worry about it. I'm gonna tangle this one back in, tangle the Wi-Fi cable on the other side. You're gonna grab the motherboard. We are gonna bring it down over here. Okay, the motherboard goes just like this. I can leave it like this, so I'll put it like that. Bring it this cable here, and there we go. So let me see, I'm gonna bend this one backward, this one like this. I don't want excess of cables lying under the battery. It's gonna be annoying. So I'm gonna lift up this one here. I'll bring this one here. I'm gonna put a little tape on this one so it can hold it in place. I don't like fighting with the flex cables. That's kind of annoying sometimes. I'll put that one in there. This one there. Now this one will come out. I think it's too much, too back. Let me see. I'll put it right there. Then I will bring it here. Right. Now I will put the board right on top. This one has to move a little to the side, because this tiny trackpad has to go there. I'm gonna use the tweezers to lift up the cover, and we're gonna slide this trackpad right underneath inside the jack. The backlight goes right in there. Lock it down. Open up the lock for the keyboard. You slide the connector inside. Work that nicely, make sure it goes all the way in. Lock it down. The battery for the BIOS goes in its place. The cable for the audio inside the jack. Now we are gonna put the screw for the motherboard in corner right in here. Put the bracket for the power jack and the 2 screws for that one. Slide the connector straight inside the jack connector. Don't force it. It has to go nicely, smoothly in. And lock it down. Make sure everything else is in place. Grab the fan. Put it right on top here, where it's supposed to be. Bring the Wi-Fi connect cables. Leave a little room here. Like it has to be little, about half a centimeter, like a wiggle room here. Because when the screen opens, you don't want it to pull on that cable. Bring the Wi-Fi right in here. Put the 2 screws for the fan. I already took the fan outside and I cleaned it up. You can see it's nice and clean. Connect the fan connector inside the jack. Now let's go ahead and clean up the thermal paste. You're going to grab an alcohol. You're going to spray it on a towel. And you want to wipe over the CPU. And use a dry part to do a second swipe. And same thing we're going to do on the heatsink. The thermal pads, they don't need to be replaced, but if you want to replace them, they're 0.5 millimeters, half a millimeter thermal pads all around, but no need to replace those. Unless yours is really dried up and cracked, then you want to replace them. But normally, you don't need to replace them. All right, now that we cleaned it up, we are gonna grab the thermal paste. Before we do that, let's go put the shielding back on. Now let's find a puzzle making here. It goes straight like this. It goes just like that. Okay, and we're gonna apply the thermal paste on this one. So you want a little bit of the thermal paste. You can put a little blob in the middle or you can spread it. It's the same. Alright, now that we clean it up and clean up everything here, we're gonna put it back together. You're gonna flip it over, put the heatsink right on top, drop it, and make sure the screw holes match. Bring it down, and start screwing it. It's a triangle, so it doesn't matter which way you start with. As long as you cross screw them, you're fine. There we go. Grab the Wi-Fi board. The Wi-Fi board goes right in here. The tiny screw for the Wi-Fi board. Grab the SSD. Slide it down in 45 degree. Inside the jack, put the tiny screw right on top. If you do want to put the caddy back in, put it. If you don't, there's no harm, but there's no hard drive in here. You're almost done down here. You want to grab the battery. Fit down the battery right on top. Put all the screws for the battery. Alright, now that the battery is in place, double check everything before you connect the battery connector. The fan connector, SSD is in place, Wi-Fi connector nicely, keyboard nicely in place, trackpad, backlight. Alright, now we're gonna slide in straight the battery connector inside the jack. Don't put it sideways. Make sure it goes in straight inside the connector. There we go. And pinch it all the way in. Once you have that one in there, all you need to do is to grab the top cover that you already cleaned up, I imagine. Then you want to bring it down straight. And you want to push the corners. You want to hear those nice big click sounds. Those are the clips that are getting locked in, the corners. And again, make sure you work on a flat surface. You want to put the screws on the corner first, and then you want to start putting the rest of the screws all over the place. And this is how you replace your keyboard for your Lenovo Ideapad L340 laptop. If you guys have any question or requests, feel free to leave them in a video comment. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm gonna power on the laptop so you can see that it powers on with no problem. So let's finish up putting up the screws. let's go ahead and power that. The screen nice and smooth. And we get our logo, and it's going to the Windows. And that's it. And the power button is on the keyboard.